You are here. Good, good. So here's the thing. Not ready for prime time yet, but we're logging in about 15 minutes. for those of you out there in YouTube land and Facebook land. We'll get started here in a little bit. Everything's setting up nicely, and if you can't hear me, please let me know. If you can't hear me, give me a thumbs up if you would, please.
All right. Now, this is not a mic for me to project. This is a mic to be recorded and broadcast. So there's no projections except for your lungs. For those of you that are going to come on this stage, you got your lungs, what God gave you, and that's it. So just be prepared for that. A mic and we're hopeful a mic and a speaker will be coming, but there's been some confusion. City of St. Robert's going to try to help. We threw out a lifeline. Is that right, Dan? Okay, so we'll get started, and just understand we're going to have to work with what we got, but we are being broadcast in different venues across the county tonight, so we're appreciative of you being here. I'm David Lowe on the Republican Central Committee, and I want to thank the Republican Central Committee and the Republican Club for putting on this event tonight. It's a candidate forum. We did this 4 years ago. It was a successful event then, so we thought it'd be good to do it again this year. It's the only opportunity for us to hear from all the candidates in a question and answer format. So we thought that's a positive thing. Doesn't matter what side of the political aisle that you're on. It's a good thing to be able to hear from our candidates, hear their points of view, and allow our voters to get to know you so that they are better informed when they go to the ballot box. So thank you again for being here. And again, on behalf of the Republican Central Committee, we appreciate your participation in this election. As we all know, it's an important one. Just in what? Less than 4 weeks, we've got a primary, and in less than 4 months, we've got a general election. So important things are on the horizon. The way this is going to work tonight, and I'll just announce really quickly, for those of you that have not been to the new location, we've got the Republican Club currently meeting at the Republican headquarters. That's 2 doors down from Westside Cafe in West Waynesville. Keep that in mind. Brand new building, lots of merchandise, lots of information there about candidates, information that the candidates have promoted and are using for promotion and marketing. So go by there if you'd like to get to know us better, and also, more importantly, those candidates who have their materials there. I encourage you to do that. And if you'd like to consider joining the club for about the price of a Happy Dollar meal, you can do that. $10 gets you a yearly membership, so consider if you want to be a part of the Republican Club, it costs about the price of what you'd spend if you went to McDonald's. And then also, if you'd like to be involved in volunteering in any ways, there's lots of opportunities there, and we'd encourage you to do that, especially over the course of the next 4 months as we lead up to this general election in November. Just to review a few of the format or ground rules for our event tonight. Again, we've got several, 3 to be exact, contested races. No, 4 contested races, and we're here primarily to hear from those candidates in a format that's going to be question and answer from the audience. So obviously, if you have questions for these candidates for office, we encourage you to submit those back at the front table. Those will be written and brought to me. I will ask those questions of each candidate. The way the format's going to work is each candidate is going to be given, before they begin the question and answer session, 1 minute to explain who they are, why they're running for office. 1 minute. And as you know, if you've been around Tim Barrier, he's sincere about your 1 minute. And I say that because he's going to have paddles. He's not going to use those paddles. We got Kevin Hillman here. Our prosecutor is going to ensure there's no physical activity going on. But with the paddles, he's going to give you green for your full 1 minute, yellow for 30 seconds, and red means stop. Is that right? Red means stop, and I'm sure he'll be right down front, and you'll be able to see that when you come over to the mic. Again, we'll hopefully have some a real mic and a real speaker here in just a little while. We'll work on that while we begin our program tonight. But I would tell you, when I call you up for your question, you'll also get 1 minute. The questions will go to the candidates in a random order. There will be no set order. And when you get your 1 minute, again, Tim will give you the yellow sign for 30 seconds, and then obviously you need to wrap up at the 1 minute and finish your answer. So again, every candidate will get to answer every question, and the questions are coming from our audience. So again, audience participation is encouraged. If you haven't written up a question, they've got pens and note cards in the back. You're welcome to do so at any time throughout this evening's event. All right. We're going to ask Steve Lynch to come lead us in our invocation as we begin our event in a word of prayer. Steve?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. If you bow with me. Father, as we bow before you, we give you praise and glory, Father, for who you are, for how much you love us. And Father, we are so grateful for this great nation that we celebrated just a few days ago. And we are so grateful that in this nation, we get to have a part in our government. So I am thankful for everyone that is here tonight, for everyone that is listening, for everyone that is involved in this election process. Father, just help us to look through clear eyes. Help us, Father, to have open minds. Help us to have ears to hear, that we might hear the different candidates that speak before us. And I am here, Father, to be thankful for every candidate that puts their name on a ballot. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy for them. It's not easy for their family. So we ask a special blessing upon each one. And may tonight, Father, may each one have clarity and focus to answer the questions that are put before them. We thank you for this opportunity that we have. We ask a blessing upon the Republican Club as they put this together for all of us to see and to hear. For I ask in Jesus' name, amen.
All right. We're going to have a national anthem now, if you'd all rise. We have a flag. There we go, right behind us. We got some men from Maranatha's. It's a Maranatha's men's group. We're going to have our national anthem by them. We've got our flag.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, you may be seated. Thank you for joining us with that. All right, we have several office holders that are here this evening that are not running in a contested race. We want to introduce all our office holders. So I know that some that are here, if I miss you, make sure you bring your name or bring yourself to my attention after I announce the ones that I know are here. We don't want to leave everyone out. So, first one we've got our presiding circuit judge, Bill Hickle. Bill, thanks for joining us this evening. You want to just tell everybody, introduce yourself and tell everybody why you're here tonight and running for office, if you will.
I don't think this works. Does this work? Okay, I'm not going to bother to hold it.
But it's with you on several different venues.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Greetings from the third branch of government, the judicial branch. My name is Bill Hickel. I serve as your presiding judge for the 25th Circuit of the state of Missouri. Missouri is divided up into 46 judicial circuits. Our circuit, the 25th, is made up of Pulaski, Phelps, Texas, and Marys counties. All the judges, all the people that are involved in the court system, our job is to resolve disputes. We do everything we can to make sure that everyone is treated fairly in court. And the bottom line is every single person is entitled to equal justice under the law. And that's what we try to accomplish each and every day. I want you to know I'm proud of our judicial circuit. We do a lot of work with limited resources. As measured by the number of total cases that are filed every year in our court systems, we're the 6th busiest judicial circuit in the state of Missouri. The only 5 circuits that are busier than ours are St. Louis County, Jackson County, which is Kansas City, Greene County, Boone Callaway County, and St. Louis City. And then after that comes us. Just to put numbers to that, in fiscal year 2023, there were 27,645 cases that were filed in our 4-county judicial circuit. Those would be civil cases, criminal cases, probate cases, juvenile cases, domestic relations cases. You put it all together, over 27,000 cases. And just out of contrast, the 3rd busiest judicial circuit is St. Louis City, and they handle just north of 32,000 cases in their judicial circuit, which, if you do the arithmetic, it's about 16% more cases than we handle. The difference is we have 8 full-time judges that handle our caseload. They have 31 cases in St. Louis City that handle their caseload, which is just slightly larger than ours. We have some of the nicest people that you'll ever meet in our court system, and I'm proud of each and every one of them. It's a pleasure to work with them. I'll be on your ballot in August and then again in November. I'm uncontested. I'm mainly here to just let you know that it is a privilege and an honor to serve you. Thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Judge. We've also got our county prosecutor here, Kevin Hillman. Kevin's here. You want to say anything, Kevin? No. He just said it all. We also have with us this evening, he's on the ballot, but he is in an uncontested race, our assessor, Dan Whittle. Dan?
Hello, everybody. I'm gonna also give my time to Ken with what you guys have done to listen to tonight. I just want to let everybody thank you for showing up. And I also would like to say we need all the help we can get to get the right candidates in there. So any volunteers that's willing to help at the headquarters and join our club, we need as many as we can get. We got to push this thing across the finish line in November for our nation also. So thank you, everybody, for all your support.
Thanks, Dan. We also have this evening with us our candidate for public administrator, Rebecca Allen. I think I saw Rebecca. Becky? If you want to stand here, you're welcome to.
My name is Rebecca Allen. Most of you know me as Becky Allen. I'm running for public administrator. I joined the public administrator, my predecessor, about 5 years ago, and at that time I was responsible for filing all the paperwork. You guys can't imagine how much paperwork is involved in the public administrator's office, and taking phone calls, getting really close to our clients that we have in nursing homes, ISLs, all kinds of, different types of people that we have. I'm a lifelong resident of Pulaski County, and I was elected as the interim public administrator in January when my predecessor left. So I've been serving out her term for this year, and I added to my duties now. I'm balancing bank statements every month. I do the annual settlements that are given to the circuit court. They review everything and then give it to the judge for his final sign-off. and you really get close to a lot of these clients, even though they're a lot older, you still think they're all like kids. So they come really close to you. So I enjoy working with them very much. So I'd appreciate your support in the fall.
Thanks, Becky. We also have with us this evening Presiding Commissioner Gene Newkirk.
I'll let all these folks have their time. As they say, I just tip my hat, and you throw your hat in the ring. It's a tough year, it's a lot of work. Enjoy it. Just everybody support each other. It's the best route to take. Just support the other person. Win or lose it, draw. Always support the other person because they are representing your party.
All right, thanks, Gene. We also have with us this evening our treasurer, Mac Wilkerson. Mac? All right, thanks, Mac. Also have our county collector, Terry Mitchell. Okay, thank you, Terry. All right. At this time, I'd ask the candidates for commissioner, all 4 candidates, if you're here, I believe everyone's here for both the Eastern and Western District. If you make your way to the stage, we'll begin the question and answer session at this time. Come on up, candidates for commissioners. Yep, that works. Okay, and again, the ground rules. We've got our 4 candidates up here. The way we're going to do this, in no certain order, I'm going to introduce the candidates. They're going to come forward 1 minute, going to tell why they're running for office, an overview of their qualifications, and then what they'll do is sit back down. We'll go to the next candidate, followed by the next candidate, etc. And then after all 4 candidates have been given an opportunity to do that, we'll begin the question and answer session. I've just been given questions that have come from the audience, and we'll use those in our question and answer. Dan, do we have something?
We got our PA guy here, so he's going to run up there real quick.
Yeah, we'll let him start while they start their remarks, and then we may take a quick break on stage if he needs to set up. Thanks so much for coming. You may be the hero. 2 minutes. All right. We'll go ahead and start with the first one. Let me get my order again. I'll start with the Western District candidates. We'll start with the incumbent, Andy Helms. Andy?
I vote maybe we get Steve up here to talk for everybody. I know we can hear Steve, but anyway, my name's Andy Helms. I'm your current Western District Commissioner. Born and raised in Pulaski County. I've got a marketing degree from Southwest Missouri State. It was SMS back in my day. I've been commissioner about 18 months now. I really enjoy it. I thank you for voting me, putting me in there, putting your trust in me. I work hard every day to keep that trust. I've got really great guys that work for me at the shed. We work hard every day to keep the roads in shape. Kylie does a great job in the office. I really enjoy working with the other elected officials, and I hope you guys will consider voting for me again in August. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. The next candidate for Western District Commissioner would be Wayne Hill. Wayne?
Yes, I'm a lifelong person in Pulaski County, born and raised in Waynesville, and live in Lake Wayne. And I wanted to learn and try to help the community grow and be better and support the people in the community. And hope we all get along and have safe roads where nobody gets hurt. Thank you.
And then moving on to the Eastern District Commissioner candidates, we've got the incumbent, Charles Bassett.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. As I say, my name's Charles Bassett. I grew up over at Dixon, Missouri. I attended Dixon High School, graduated there. After graduating there, I studied at Southwest Baptist College. After that, I was accepted into the U.S. Department of Labor apprenticeship program, which I graduated from, then came home and started my own construction company. At the same time, I pursued another passion of mine, which is cattle farming. And I've kept that up, and I've always looked for opportunities to serve. And I work very hard at that. I'm always mindful when I'm serving of who I'm serving, and I try to remember that every time I make a decision that I'm representing them in those decisions that I make. And I respectfully ask for your support for another term as commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bassett. Our next candidate for Eastern District Commissioner is Kevin Davis. Kevin?
Hello, everybody. I'm Kevin Davis. I'm a lifelong resident of Pulaski County. I'm a successful business owner. I've had my own business for 8 years. Customer satisfaction is my goal. I have 11 and a half years current at the county. 4 years of that I was a supervisor. I worked 3.5 years at MoDOT and learned how to run all the paving equipment and do everything for MoDOT. And I just want to make our county roads better. They're in horrible shape right now. These rains we've been having, they're terrible. They need ditched. There's a lot of work that needs done to them, and I'm your guy. Customer satisfaction, I'll work hard for you, and I'd appreciate your support.
All right, the moment of truth. We're going to see if we get some mic on the scene. Santiago is helping us out tonight. Is that good back there? How are we doing? Doing good tonight? Let's give this man a round of applause. Thank you, Santiago. Appreciate your help. All right, gentlemen. We've got first question from our audience. And again, there's no certain order here, so we're going to start with Kevin Davis will be the first one to take this question, and then we'll go from there with the other candidates. And the question is, and I'll let you come on up as soon as I ask the question, when and if the road and bridges sales tax is approved by the voters, what is your plan on how to prioritize and use that revenue?
You know, with taxes, the county people are taxed to death. Taxes, I just looked at my taxes tonight for road and bridge. I pay $62.38. The school, I'll pay almost $1,000 in taxes. We need more money, and you know what? I hate to say it, if taxes is where we need to get it, that's where we need to get it. But the tax that I'm seeing, if I go, say Kevin goes up here to the gas station, buys something, and I live in 2 states over, I don't care where that money's spent here. But if the county gets money and don't spend it on Kevin's road, they spend it over here and they leave Kevin's road in bad shape, Kevin don't like taxes. So if it's a fair shake for everybody and you can spend the taxes on everybody's road, I'm for it. If not, I'm totally against it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Bassett, I'll have you come on up. Do you know the question, or do you want me to restate it for you? Restate it. All right. Question is, when and if road and bridge sales tax is approved by the voters, what is your plan on how to prioritize and use that tax?
First of all, we believe that sales tax is the fairest tax that could be implemented, if it was at all, because everyone that comes to our county and uses goods and services here will have to contribute to that. But there's so many improvements that need to be made, and they are, we need a lot more gravel for the roads, the equipment we need to maintain. There's 3 legs under the stool that I stand on and work on, and that is we have to have qualified people. Number 2, we have to have the material we need to do the job with. And then thirdly, we need to have equipment and well-maintained equipment to do that. And I'll concentrate on all of those if the tax is passed.
Thank you. All right. Next candidate would be candidate for Western District Commissioner Wayne Hill.
Yeah, I don't like taxes like anybody else, but sometimes we got to have them to make things better and stuff. And I've seen down in Waynesville, I don't know how many of you have seen, they left the grow graders and equipment down there in the floods when they should have moved them out and stuff. That's just my opinion, that taking care of equipment and stuff. And we need to make sure we got good equipment. And like you said, we need gravel and stuff to take care of it, shell rock and stuff. I run excavators, haul dump truck. I've been in the fire department, I've been all over, and I've seen what the water does to the roads and destroy them. I went to Camden County, and they got rollers that go behind their grow graders to flatten it, to keep the rocks from flattening people's tires to help the public out, stuff. I think that's something maybe we could do to help the community. I appreciate you, folks. Thank you.
Thank you. And Andy Helms on the same question. You got it?
Oh, thank you. I wish I had 30 minutes. I'll just give you a prime example of kind of what we're working with. My asphalt budget is $20,000. I don't know if you know much about asphalt, but it's $210,000 to asphalt 1 mile. So, I mean, I can't, basically all I can do is just do some patching. But anyway, if the tax is passed, I've been asked to break it down. I would think 5% for employees, 15% for equipment, 80% to go on the roads. There's lots of projects that we could do and be done right instead of, well, let's just patch it, let's fix it, let's go on. Where if we had that money, I've got the guys with the knowledge that want to work hard, they want to do it right, but unfortunately we just fall short on having the money that we need to do that. And, we can sit here and talk all night about crying the blues, because everybody's got it tough. Things have went through the roof. Road grader tires, $1,000. My brush tractors have got 10,000 hours on them. We spend more time working on them than we do actually getting them out on the road. But anyway, if you would just consider that tax, like Charles said, we think it's the fairest way to do it, and we hope it passes, because we'll work hard to make sure we spend the money the right way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Helms. Don't go anywhere. I've got another question for you. I know you wanted 30 minutes, but I'll give you another 60 seconds. Everyone talks about what needs to be fixed in our county, and that's one of the questions you all regularly deal with. But what is your top priority, and how are you going to fix it?
Well, that's a good question. Top priority would be just keeping a constant equipment, constant fixing the roads, keeping our road graders out there every day. Like Charles said, get plenty of rock hauled to put on the roads. Where we've got some roads, I'll use the example of Raleigh and Rochester. You start out on pavement, you go to gravel, you go back to pavement, you go back to gravel, you cross the bridge, you go to gravel, you go back to pavement, you go back to gravel. If we had some extra money where we could, you could gravel or pave that road all the way. Or some of our troubled hills that we have, some of the hills that they get washboardy. I mean, we could grade them every day. And if we could have the right equipment to pack those hills and do some of those things. But the main requirement, they say, would just be to keep constant, where we're working on the roads all the time, and just keep them up in good shape, and working with that.
Thank you, Mr. Helms. Mr. Hill, I asked you the same question. Everyone talks about things that need to be fixed. And if elected commissioner, what would your priority be, your number one priority be, and how are you going to fix it?
Like they said, they are kind of roads that wash out, and I know Collie Holler roads wash out quite a bit. I've seen them replace the gravel and do a lot of work down there, and them hills wash out. And that one guy told me, he said, can you cut a road higher up on the hill, because it's low valley, so the water run down wouldn't wash out his road? And I'm like, well, that'd cost, but I don't know what it costs you. You have to look into it. and pave it, and like they said, compact it, make it good, and bridges safe for everybody. Stuff. But that's what I was wanting to do, to make sure everybody had a fair road and safe and everything on the road. Well, that's all I got to say, and I'll let you go. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bassett?
There again, like I say, there's 3 priorities I have, and that's well-trained employees, properly maintained, quality equipment so we can react to whatever it is, such as recently, I started getting phone calls at 2 a.m. in the morning. A week later, I started getting them at 3 a.m. in the morning about trees being down on roads and roads impassable. And that's something I do. My phone is always by the bed, and I answer it every time it rings. So those 3 priorities I talked about, I'll work on those with that money, and we'll try to have plenty of equipment to work with, plenty of material to work with, and then try to have well-trained, great people to take care of the job. The people I have now are just simply fantastic, and they just do a fantastic job with what we have to work with. Thank you.
Mr. Davis?
I'll just stay right here, if that's fine.
Oh, you want to answer it
Yeah,
there?
I'll just answer it right here.
Okay.
What I'll do to make things better, I traveled the roadways today, and from 3 or 4 storms ago, there's still trees laying in these people's roads. They have not been cleaned up, they need cleaned up, and you can have well-maintained equipment, but they need people to run. I see the graders sitting a lot. They need out there. My way of thinking, what I want to do, I want to put a grader. There's 5 grader routes for the Eastern District. They need 5 grader operators, and they need 5 dump truck operators. There needs to be a dump truck with every grader, and they need to go out and stay on the road, and don't come in and tell me there's nothing to do, because there's always something to do on these county roads that need putting care. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. All right, next question. We'll go to you, Mr. Bassett, first. And the question is, homelessness has become a prevalent issue in our county, and therefore community members are bringing complaints of the negative side effects to the county commission in search of a remedy. What are your ideas for combating homelessness in Pulaski County? You just sit there, we'll make more time by doing that.
That's a tough one. We have to be really careful what we do as commissioners, or we come across as heartless individuals that don't care. But also, and I don't know where the answer lies, but we've got a lot of mental health problems in the homeless community, and it's serious stuff. So I can tell you we are working on some stuff. I'm not at liberty to say what that is, but we want to make the community safer for all of our citizens, and also make it safer for those who are homeless. And so it's going to require a lot of work. It's not going to be an easy answer.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bassett. We're going to pass the mic to you, Mr. Davis. Do you need that question ready now?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. All right, question was again, homelessness has become a prevalent issue in our county, and therefore community members are bringing complaints to the negative side effects to the county commission in search of a remedy. What are your ideas on combating homelessness in Pulaski County?
You know, homelessness, you can travel the state and see it everywhere. A lot of these people do have mental disabilities, and they need help, but some of it is our veterans that just are out and that they really need help in the community. And it's a touchy situation. A lot of people come to our church, you know, looking for handouts, and our preacher will bring them in, and, you know, he'll talk to them and find out what their story is, and try to get them help do that. But yeah, it really is a touchy situation, and it really needs looked into, and those people need help. But you know, really, what the right answer is, I don't have that right now, but it needs looked into. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Davis. Mr. Helms?
Thank you. As Charles said, we've got an item on the agenda for
Thursday to discuss, dealing with the homeless issue. And it is a big issue, and it's also community. I know we've got some great community people that will help these people if they want to help. And you know, the Supreme Court has made some issues here lately to help cities and help the states with some homeless issues. And so we have to follow what we can do, what the law allows us to do, and we work well with Kevin Helms, our county attorney, and Kevin advises us on what we can do and the issues we can go. And we are having a lot of discussions about it, and you know, like I said, with Gene, we do have some things on the agenda Thursday to discuss. So we're just trying to handle it the best we can right now. So thank you.
Yeah, I know homeless is tough, and I've helped some people take them to church in the wintertime when it's cold or raining, and we give them a place in the church and food and stuff. Then there's some of them that don't want no help, but it is a problem, and I hate to see anybody out there in cold and rain and stuff. And I've helped one guy that he got a job in a house, and he's doing a lot better now. But I can't help everybody. It's going to take a community to help everybody and find answers for it and get medical help that they need. Stuff. And I hope they all do good. Thank you.
All right, the next question from the audience is as follows, and Mr. Hill, you will have this question come to you first. What experience do you have that will make you a successful commissioner and a benefit to the county?
Well, like I said, I've run dump trucks, I've run heavy equipment. I worked with White Construction in Waynesville, if everybody know when he was there. And when they did backhoe and bulldoze and stuff. And I've learned from other people in heavy equipment in other communities to go out, because you got to learn and go out and find out what's going on in the community. I can't sit in the office or in the building and say, well, I can fix it, when you don't know what's broken or what the roads look like. You got to go out and fix it and find solutions, but you got to have money to do that. So, thank you for your time.
What was the question?
So the question is, what experience do you have that will make a successful commissioner and also a benefit to the county?
I think the first thing is I've been involved in community service, serving the community. I was a juvenile officer for 30 years and worked with budgets and, you know, know how to stay within a budget and work, and I know how to work with other agencies and work, you know, and try to collaborate with people, and you got to learn to take it all in. You know, like when Senate Bill 190 was hit the county, you know, and it was a mess, but they've made some fixes on it. And we worked together, worked with Terry and Daniel and Charlie and Gene, you know, and we came up with a solution that we thought was best for the counties. And we worked with the senior centers and schools and everybody that it affected to, you know, to help get good solutions. So I think I bring that to the table, that, you know, I'm willing to listen to people and talk to people. And, you know, I sat down at a table yesterday with a bunch of strangers and said, hey, I want to tell you about this half-cent sales tax, you know, and so I think that's just experience that I have of just being a public servant and wanting to serve the people, and that's, you know, one of my strong characters.
Okay. Mr. Bassett? Same question.
Anyway, I said in my introductory statement that I'd dedicated my adult life to serving in various capacities. And some of those capacities has been, I got to represent several boards here on the county and community level. And then I got to serve on the Missouri Beef Industry Council, where I chaired it for 2 years. And then I went on and I served on the Cattlemen's Beef Board, where I served on the Audit Committee for 4 years. And then I got to come home and serve on the Missouri Farm Bureau State Board of Directors, where I served on their audit committee. And I got to look at budgets bordering $1 billion. So I have had wide-ranging budget experience, and I bring that with me, as well as a catalog of contacts that I've made in my career as a volunteer. I've put together a pretty good list of contacts that I have, and I'm willing to draw on those and bring that to the office with me.
I bring to this table years of experience running heavy equipment. I know how to build something and make it last. I work for, like I said, I'm a successful business owner. I own and run Kevin Street Service. And if you've ever had me come to your residence and do something for you, I leave the place better than when I got there. I talk to people, and if they have a problem, I fix it. I'll always be there for you. I'm not just out here today trying to get votes, and then if my phone rings later, avoid you people. If you have a problem, let's get it fixed. And with my experience with heavy equipment, I've got almost 15 years in, and I can do just about anything. So I'm a benefit to the county, and I think that'd be a good choice. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Davis. We're going to stay with you on this next question. The question is, inflation is impacting the county road budget. What do you recommend, and what action would you take to overcome the current budget shortfalls?
Like I said a while ago, I pulled up my taxes before I left the house, and the county gets $62.38, and everything else from the ambulance district to the fire department and everything else. They're emergency personnel, and they travel these roads. You know, and I don't know as a person where we got lottery. I don't know where our lottery money goes to, if they tax marijuana taxes, but there needs to be something extra from somewhere needs to be pulled to go to Road and Bridge to find enough money to help. The Eastern District has got miles of road, and if you want to know exactly, I can tell you because I do know. But there needs to be some money put in play or pulled from some organization to give them more money to Road and Bridge to help with their problem. Thank you.
Yeah. So the question that will go to you, Mr. Bassett, is inflation is impacting the county road budget. What do you recommend, and what action would you take to overcome the current shortfalls in the budget?
If you put all the roads together in the Eastern District, they would range from here to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And sometimes we forget about that and what a challenge that is. It's also an opportunity. But that's one of the reasons why Andy and I had the courage to put this tax proposal out to the people, was so we wouldn't have to work so hard on the budget. And we do. We have to prioritize, and I hate that. I hate to prioritize, and that means that I'm going to have to let something else go to accomplish something over here. And so we're hoping above hope that the voters give us this and allow us the opportunity to show what we could do if we had the resources to work with.
Mr. Hill?
Yeah, it is a hard thing to overcome with the budget and stuff like that, and I hope they do get it. But I hope we don't do like the state did that one year and put it in general funds, and they took the money away from them, from the state highway department to fix the roads and stuff. It needs to go to the roads where it's supposed to go, and to the people, make sure our patrons are safe and the kids are safe on the school bus going back and forth to school every day. And I hope we can do a good job and getting it done. But it is hard with a budget. Everybody's got a budget and stuff, and it's hard, and the equipment goes up, prices go up, gas goes up every day. So do our food. And so the employees and the tires for the road graders and stuff, they cost a lot. I work on box equipment, yards, and it is hard. And it is, like I said, we got a lot of miles of roads and gravel to travel stuff. I hope we can get it done. Thank you.
have the marijuana tax coming in, but we can't use it. But we try every day to save the county money. You know, my guys are mechanics, my guys are welders, we change our own tires. You know, I said the other day, we changed 5 dump truck tires, 2 road grader tires in the morning, you know, and so we're trying to say we do our own oil changes, you know, everything that we can do ourselves, you know, we try to do. You know, I talked about working on the rust tractors. You know, we were working on one of the tractors today. You know, rainy day, you can't do much outside, so we got a lot of maintenance done and oil changes and stuff like that. But anything that we can do like that, we do ourselves to try to, you know, save the county money. And unfortunately, you know, you talk about that. You know, if you got a good mechanic that's your good road grader driver, you don't want to keep him off the road grader to be working on stuff at the shop. And so you kind of got to make that balance, and it is tough. But you know, regardless if the tax passes or not, which I hope it does, you know, we're going to keep working hard. You know, my guys, they take pride in what they do, and they take pride in keeping the roads good. And there is just a lot more to it. But anyway, like I said, we'll do our best.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. All right. Next question, maybe our last. We're running a little short on time for this group of candidates. What experience do you have or have you had in creating, formulating, and managing payrolls and budgets? We'll go right back to you, Mr. Helms.
Well, you know, like I said, for 30 years, actually, Judge Sickle was my boss for a long time, and you know, we worked together on the budgets, and you know, I had employees in every county that the judge talked about, you know, in Phelps County, and Texas County, Marys County, you know, and so I worked with payroll with that, worked with all the county clerks in those 4 counties, and so, you know, and we worked with Dave and Whitney here to, you know, keep the payroll, and so I've had quite an extensive experience on working with the payroll and budgets, and I just got to continue that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Helms.
Yeah, what was that question?
Okay, so the question is, what experience have you had in creating, formulating, and managing payrolls and budgets?
All right, I worked for Edge Farm Loan. I worked at the cash register there. I've also worked at other stores, worked cash register, and you got to be precise on your count and stuff, and double check it, and triple check, and hope you're right and stuff, and make sure everything's right on your budget, and hope your money's good. Like I said, I worked in the fire department, maintenance engineer, chief maintenance engineer, and I've helped them with the budget on the fire department because we get so much on the department. I was with the fire department for 15 years when I retired from it at Hazelgreen. And it is hard on budget because sometimes you get money, sometimes you don't get the money. And you got to go on the fly and see where you're going to do and cut them up where you got to, whether you want to or not. And it's hard to do on the budget because, like they said, there's a lot of equipment, a lot of people, payroll and stuff, and it is hard on it. So, well, thank you.
All right.
My experience with the budget, like I said, I've got 11 and a half years prior county experience. 4 years of that I was a supervisor. I worked under the Commissioner Lynn Sharp. That's where I took care of the budget and had to maintain our gas and oil and stuff and keep that on supply and not go over budget on that. I had to take care of 10 employees' time sheets. I had to fill their time sheet out every day, take care of all their sick time, their overtime, their comp time, and manage everybody's time sheets to keep everything straight. So that's basically my experience. Like I said, my small business, I got to manage my budget every day and keep my equipment up and going and not bust my budget there. So that's my experience with budget and stuff like that. Thank you.
I don't know how many times I've sat down across the desk from a family and worked out details to build them a new home and then live within that budget that we set to do that. I always come in on or under budget. And then I've served on the Missouri Beef Industry Council where we had about a $3 million budget that I helped oversee. And then I served on the Cattlemen's Beef Board, and we had about a $100 million budget that I said I served on the Audit Committee and helped oversee. And then I served on Missouri Farm Bureau State Board of Directors, and I'm not going to tell you exactly how many, but it's upwards towards $1 billion, the budget that I helped oversee there. And then I've had extensive experience with employees of my own and managing them, and like I say, I've had very extensive budget experience.
All right. Let's have all these candidates for commissioners a big round of applause, please. Go ahead, gentlemen, stand up. Thank you very much for answering questions. And in 5 minutes, if you will, sheriff candidates, make your way to the front in 5 minutes. If you need to take a break, do so. We'll reconvene in about 5 minutes.
You got to fight.
Where's our time card?
Right there.
Man, he's already starting out on the red.
He's
That's
starting
not
us
even
on the
close to
red.
being fair.
I
Okay,
think
Dad.
I think he's just doing it because he likes
They realize that we can hear them.
Just say you got to pull it
Come
away
on.
from your shirt.
Okay. Get everybody back in. We've got 5 candidates for sheriff. We're going to hear from them now. Again, Same ground rules, 1 minute, opening statement, or tell everybody why you're running and why you should be elected. After that, we'll go to the question and answer format. The way we're going to do it, we're going to modify it slightly. We'll start with them coming up here on the opening statement, so to speak, and then we'll have them field the questions over here on the question and answer. And again, 1 minute, and our time card guy down here, Mr. Barry, will give you the yellow at 30 seconds and the red when it's time to wrap it up. All right, our first candidate for sheriff is Stacy Ball.
Hello, everybody. I'm Stacy Ball. I'm running for Pulaski County Sheriff. 20 years in the military, retired as a military police first sergeant. I worked with the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department for over 12 years as a deputy detective, task force, narcotics task force officer, and protecting our schools as school resource officer. While I've been in the Sheriff's Department, I've done a lot. I've done just about every case I can think of that our deputies would see. Worked in narcotics. I worked this county, Pulaski County. I also worked undercover in 11 other counties in this state. So under the assigned the South Central Drug Task Force. So I've done a lot, and I've done a lot in narcotics. However, this county is still good with narcotics. We need to fix that. And it needs somebody that's going to have the passion and the gumption to get out there and get a bulldog out there or that drug task force to make that change and start taking down some of the fentanyl that's getting into our county. But until then, the border needs to be shut down. That's what that wants to do.
Woo! All right. Next candidate for sheriff, Brian Gibbs.
Evening, my name is Brian Gibbs. I've spent 23 years total in emergency service. Last 12 have been in law enforcement. I worked as a road officer at St. Robert PD, worked for Kevin Hillman as an investigator in his office, and then went to the Sheriff's Department and became the detective sergeant running the investigative units down there. Drugs are not the only problem that plagues this county. There's numerous crimes against our children, against our citizens as well, and everything needs to be looked at as a whole. Drugs are a major aspect of that, but the only way we're going to combat this problem is not only as law enforcement, but with the help of you, the community, education of the problem, and working together to solve it. And that's one of the things I want to bring in. I want to bring in more transparency, more accountability, more education to you, the public, so you know what's going on, know what to look for, so you know what to report to our office, so that you can help us combat the crime in this county as well. Thank you.
Next candidate for sheriff, Rex Larson.
Hello, I'm Rex Larson. I've been a law enforcement for 25 years now. I started out in the county down south, Stone County down there. As I worked my way through, I worked in dispatch, then I worked into the jail. Once I got my commission, then I worked out on the road. In 2004, I moved back home here. I've worked for the Sheriff's Department since then, up until 2020. Since then, I have been the SRO, one of the SROs over at Lakeway. I also do help out on the technology side. But I say that because I have 20 years in a sheriff's department. I started in dispatch, worked my way into the jail, then I worked myself out on the road, got out on the road there, I walked back home, worked on the road here in Pulaski, worked myself up to a supervisor, and ultimately I was over the entire road division. So I say that because I have been in every element of the sheriff's department. That is why I feel as though I am the one to be elected to this position. I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Next candidate for sheriff, Nick Pattis.
Thank you, Dave. I'm Nick Pattis. I was not born and raised here in Pulaski, but I was born and raised in Missouri. I retired out of the Army after 20 years. Retired as a CID agent, special agent in charge. It was a good run, a little too political, and you'll find out I am not a politician. I bring 27 years total law enforcement. That's boots on the ground, that's management through various chains. From agent in charge, I got out, got on the road, worked investigations for the Sheriff's Department, Richland PD. I'm a full-time detective lieutenant with another agency at this time. part-time with Richland, and I'm a deputy coroner, was appointed coroner for 3 years. So I've seen the drugs, I've seen all the crime that impacts this county. What I bring to the table is more education, more experience than others. I also bring a tenacity. And contrary to common belief, I'm very public-oriented, so I'm very approachable. Sometimes I get a little gruff. With my counterpart, Ryan Onstead, I'm going to give him kudos on that one. But the reality is, we've got to have a tenacity. Somebody that can talk to the public, analyze it, troubleshoot, assess it. That's it. Thank you.
Last candidate for sheriff, Jim Reed.
Yes, I'm Jim Reed. I'm retired highway patrol. I've lived in Pulaski County all my life. Went to college, some out here at Fort Wood, Crowder College. I found after I retired that I missed. Say it's press high, as far as 5 copies. That may be a little bit of a joke to the law enforcement officer, not you. But I miss it. And I would like to be back in. And thank you very much for your vote.
All right, so now we're going to go to the question and answer portion. Again, they'll take the questions from the chair, or if they want to stand, they may stand. Again, given 1 minute for their answers. The first question for the sheriff's candidate will be, the sheriff's department seems to always fall short on funds. What will you do immediately to try to correct the shortfall in your budget? And will you allow employees to continue to drive county vehicles home each night? I'm going to give that to you, Mr. Reed.
If they're going to drive a vehicle home that belongs to the county, there should be a starting or an end place that would save the county money by not letting them drive home. Very few jobs anymore provide vehicles for you to go to work in the back. They either want you to work from home or they want you to drive in to work. I think the budget needs to be severely looked at. If we are running short on money, there's got to be a reason. And I think that needs to be addressed. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But if it is broke, we need to address that.
Okay. Mr. Pappas, you need a question read?
Please.
All right, the question is, the sheriff's department always seems to be falling short on funds or in their budget. What will you do immediately to try to correct that shortfall? And will you allow employees to continue driving home county vehicles each night?
So I've already pulled the budget, but as we've discussed before in some other forums, the budget's set before we take office, normally unless the sheriff lets us right seat ride to get it. So we'll break that budget apart. This is immediately. Analyze where the money's going. So we can allot all the money we want in certain lines within budget, but where's the money going out? So basically, what receipts are we taking in? How are we expending it? The money has to go where the people need it, not where we want it. Second, vehicles going home. Honestly, I'd have to see which ones they are. I can tell you deputies usually have take-home vehicles because I am one and I have been called out. So as far as the rest, we need to assess who's doing what job in that field. With the budget has to meet the needs of the people, and that's where I stand on it. That's all I got, David.
Okay. You need it? Mr. Gibbs?
No, I don't need it read again. So the budget is a main concern. It's something that I too have pulled and looked at, and it's something I do plan on meeting with some people later on this month actually and discussing and looking to see where funds can be cut and to where that money can be reallocated to where we need it to better serve the community. When it comes to take-home vehicles, I would continue to let some continue with their take-home vehicles. Reason being, if these our emergency personnel. If you respond to emergency calls and you have the chance of being called out, then yes, I want you to have that vehicle to come straight from your residence to my scene. Office personnel, however, if you're just coming into the office from a 9 to 5 or whatever, that's something that needs to be relooked at, and that money might be able to be put elsewhere that we would save on maintenance, fuel, and things like that to possibly give raises to our deputies and those responding to the emergency calls.
Rex Larson.
So I too have pulled the budget, and looking through it, obviously when we pull it, we only get a certain amount of the budget. We can't not necessarily line by line and exactly what they're spending that money for. So that'll be taken in, and it'll also, it's been said that we won't have, unless we're allowed to come in and do the budget for the next year, we won't have any say in what's going on for that first budget. I would like to try to work with the current administration to be able to get in there to actually see that and see if there's something that we can get in there and we can work down on that. And just go back and look and tear that budget down line by line to see where this money in this line is going and what it's going for, and is it needed. Okay, if it's needed, then we have to figure out how we're going to fund it, but we also have other needs to fund. And as far as the take-home cars, I'm a firm believer that yes, all of your road deputies need to have take-home vehicles because they all are emergency responders. But there are also, I believe, office staff that possibly do not need vehicles to take home. But that's something we'll have to look at when I get in there. Thank you.
I didn't agree with covered it all, but let me think about the budget. The budget that first year, obviously, yes, it's not really going to be ours, but it's going to be that second year when we really dig into the budget and be able to. What happened? You brought Peter to pay for right now. We're a wasteful daggone sheriff's office. We went through probably 5 uniform changes. Why? Because somebody didn't like the colors. So that was wasteful spending. We went from black to tan black to gray, and that's just wasteful spending. We should have just kept the same daggone professional uniform to look professional on the road instead of changing our spending all that money on the uniforms. The jail, and I hope the jail comes up, but the jail is probably a sore subject for our budget because that $17 million facility that we got was only supposed to be $8 million. That's $500,000 that we were supposed to get from that law enforcement tax that we're not getting in that sheriff's office. So it's $1 million plus for the jail, right off the top of our budget. That's where our money's going. We need to fix that.
Thank you. Next question for the candidates is, excluding required training for your agency in Missouri Post, what training have you received over the past few years that you personally initiated, and what were they? And that question will go to Brian Gibbs.
So training that isn't required by Post that we have initiated ourselves.
That excluding Post in your Missouri, as far as required training for your agency in Missouri Post, what other training have you received during the past few years that you personally initiated, or what were those, what was that training?
Okay. So I didn't do it just for myself. I did it for some of the other deputies as well, and as well as for some of the needs of the community. We don't have a tactical team. Something I did was did some research, found some sites such as the Midwest Counter Drug Training Center down in Johnston, Iowa. Free course, free lodge, all we had to do was make the trip down there. Took myself and about 3 other deputies down there, and we took the training so that they have some sort of training when it comes to tactical scenes and barricaded subjects, things like that. What we're doing right now is there's 3 of us that are actually enrolled in ALERT, which is Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training, and we're doing instructor for Train the Trainer so that we can come back and teach other agency law enforcement officers, not just the Sheriff's Department, an active shooter response. And this training right now is one that's actually looking to be done nationwide.
Thank you. That question goes to Mr. Larson.
So I myself, over the years, have taken other weapons courses specific to schools, active shooter classes. I too have studied and become a active shooter trainer. I have also taken other drug courses. There's different things that we do as SROs. Further juvenile law classes, further school law classes, all those types of different things when you're in that different environment that I have been in here lately, other than working on the road. So really to just kind of expand on those things, over the years my training's been real specific in that, with teaching other schools, training for active shooter, how to mitigate those, and also working on crisis teams, helping with emotional needs for the officers and also for any students and any faculty. Thank you.
Same question, Mr. Ball.
I do have, the last several years, been specific training as far as school resource officer training and specific active shooter training. And I'm also a certified active shooter trainer, and I trained summer school to Crocker to be exact for Pulaski County. Specific training that it's hard until you get in there as far as the training itself. To find that training, you got the schools, that we got to train all the teachers, we got to train the administrators. We go to every school, we give the active shooter training. And I have all schools on post, and I have Freedom Elementary last year. So that training specific, you got to train the teachers, you got to train the administrators to learn how to act during or react to an active shooter. You have to train the teachers how to keep their kids safe and where to take them, and all the protocols that go with that to get the kids out safe. And that's about the extent of that.
Same question, Mr. Reed.
Well, as I stated before, I am retired from the Highway Patrol. But they got this newfangled thing anymore. It's called the internet. And you can get on there and just train yourself for whatever you want. And it'll tell you how to do it and all about it.
Thanks, sir. In the past year to 18 months, I've been getting honed up on recent intelligence gathering techniques, how to put it together from the ground up. This is to build cases, that type of thing. Specifically getting more into the cyber crimes. We get a lot of fraud in this field, like Bitcoin frauds. I worked a case in the county that I worked full-time in. A guy lost $275,000 out of his savings, Bitcoin, and it went overseas. We couldn't get it back. The training I've taken helps us seize that money before it's gone. I've also been pushing training to the deputies via my boss, saying, hey, they need to get this, and it's ground level intelligence gathering, interviewing, interrogation, that type of thing. It's all basic for the deputies, but I'm a generalist instructor through the Sheriff's Association, and they don't get the advanced training they need. And that's what I've been kind of pushing through my agency.
Thank you very much. The next question from the audience is as follows. What do you feel is the largest challenge that faces you as a new sheriff? And if elected, what is your plan to face and to deal with that specific challenge? Give the first opportunity to answer that to Mr. Larson.
Well, I do think it's already been said, the jail is probably one of our biggest issues that we have. The first thing that I would like to do is, I have about 4 years worth of experience working in jails. I've trained individuals, worked in jails, I've been supervisor for the jail. So I'd like to make sure that we have policies in place that we need to have in place. But not only that, but with that, make sure that we have the proper people training those individuals to work in that jail. It says one thing just to say we're just going to do policies and throw paper at people. but to actually get in there, and I want to be right there with them and say, hey, you know, this is what we need to do, this is how you need to do it. What agencies that I worked for before, there may be some things that work there that won't work here. So I think the smartest thing to do as us as sheriffs is, if we get elected, to come in, kind of see how things are ran, not go in there and just rule with an iron fist, but let's go in there and see how things are going, see if we can tweak what we need to tweak. So, thank you.
Next person to answer that question is Mr. Gibbs.
Don't worry, I got your back on the policies. I just rewrote 378 pages with the help of somebody, and those policies, they include case law that will help and explain to the staff, this is why we do it that way, this is why we will continue to do it this way, and here's the case law that will back you in case you feel you're going to get sued or whatever. Secondly, training. They do need training, just like the officers. They should also do continuing education training. Just because they take the training one time doesn't mean it's set in stone. You need to continue that training and that education. But not only the jail, like everybody's been hitting at, the budget is a big problem. The drugs are a big problem. Getting in there, start hitting town hall meetings as the sheriff, start meeting city hall meetings, working with the other agencies as well as leadership in the community to find out where your big problems are, how you can help, and start working with them to fix those problems. Because again, it's not something you can do alone.
Read it again.
Okay, and the question is, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge facing you if you were elected as the sheriff? And as sheriff, what would your plan be to face and to deal with that challenge?
Well, the biggest challenge I see is probably the citizens have lost their voice in this county. The citizens, you don't call Pulaski County anymore. I've heard that from all over this county. I'm out and about. I do go to the city hall meetings. I do go to the school board meetings. Town hall meetings, that's something that we are going to start because that was a tremendous asset to us when Ron Hall was sheriff, and that's going to come back. Town hall meetings, getting folks into our town hall, getting that town hall online so that if you can't come in, to come in and to go online and view that, and you can respond to that as well, but you'll also know what's going on. But giving the voice back to the citizens, we need that information. We have, for the last 4 years, 5 years, we've done it, the sheriff's department's done it alone. Can't do that. I need you as citizens, and I've ran on this the whole year plus that I've been running as Pulaski County Sheriff. I've been talking to the citizens and getting their voice back, and that's what I'm going to do.
Thank you very much. Ask the same question to Mr. Patton.
I agree with Brian on this one. Policies and procedures, I'm going to make one distinct difference. The policy tells you how to do it. A policy tells you when to do it. A procedure tells you how to do it. And they're distinctly different. Second, personnel. I can say I'm going to jam that sheriff's department full of personnel, but they need to fit the job. Not everybody can be a law enforcement officer. Not everybody can be a jailer, even if their heart's in it. You got to make sure that people fit the job and that they're trained to do it. Second, the budget. We're going to have to get into the meat and potatoes of that, where the money's going out. I agree with the guys again. I think we're all on the same wavelength there. And as far as community engagement, I've said it for over a year. I said it last time I ran as well. The people have the voice. We work for you. We are your employees. I'm used to getting yelled at in this job, done it for 27 years. Feel free to yell at me. I'll take it. I'll figure out what the problem is, and we'll come up with a solution together. That's it. Thank you, David.
Mr. Reed.
Yes, I think we all agree that the office of sheriff definitely needs the budget looked at. We have to have a budget, and we can't go over that. We're going to have to look at the jail seriously. Things have happened down there that should not ever happen in a small little community like ours. Even though we have a capacity
it's not running full. If the employees are spread too thin, that needs to be corrected. If the employees are not doing their job, then that needs to be corrected. That's about all I have to say.
Thank you very much. All right, the next question from the audience is, if elected sheriff, are you planning to do away with the smaller police departments in our county? And if so, why? Give that first opportunity to Mr. Ball.
No. Cities have their budgets. The only way that would happen is if the city couldn't, if they couldn't maintain the law enforcement functions of the city. And that would have to, I mean, that is way above my level. That's the mayors and the commissioners. But I don't know where that ever came from, but no, that is not I have thought about it, but I've never put that out, and I don't agree with taking the city law enforcement away unless it actually has to. The cities, they have their own police department. They do help out the sheriff's department immensely when we're tied up, because we only have a few deputies out there rolling around. So sometimes we have to act on that city as well to help us out. But until the time comes for that decision to be or discussion to be had, then my answer is no.
Thank you very much. Next candidate for sheriff to answer that would be Mr. Reed.
No. I think that the smaller community offices definitely need to be there. They are helpful to the sheriff's department, the highway patrol, the fire department, any other concern that you have in a city, they can help you with.
The next one to answer that would be Mr. Pappas.
Absolutely not. The smaller PDs belong to those communities. They work for the taxpayers. That's how they're paid. Most of the towns have an LE tax, just like the county has an LE tax. They're tuned to the specific ordinances. They have their own distinct cultures in those communities. We have mutual aid agreements in place. We can help county, vice versa. Well, they cover our jurisdiction anyway. So that's not going to happen. Not only that, the smaller towns on the budgets, I know at least 3 of them, they couldn't afford to contract with the sheriff's department to begin with because their budgets are small enough as it is.
Mr. Larson.
No. For one thing, it's not up to us to just walk into a municipality and say, okay, we're going to get rid of your department. That is their own deal. Like they said, they voted in their own taxes. They voted to have that. That's up to their city government on whether or not they want to keep it. Obviously, if they want help, if the sheriff's department can help in any way that we can, we will. We'll try our best. Overall, as a county, it'd be the sheriff's job to make sure that everybody in the county is protected. So if the municipalities need our help, we'll try to help them best we can. But just to go in and tell a city government that, no, your city municipality is done. They do have their own way of doing things. They have their ordinances. If we come in as a county, we can't enforce their city ordinances. So some of that is how they get some of their income. So we can't just walk in there and tell them, no, you're done. Thank you.
Absolutely not. Not only do they have their law enforcement taxes, their personnel, and not only do they help us, but that's more boots on the ground for us. I mean, we as a sheriff's department, we already got our own problems internally. Why would we want to take on more? That would cause more problems for us in the long run. To do something like that would just be crazy. And plus, those departments, they have things they do that we could see, and we might like that, what things they're doing, and we might want to adopt those. So keeping and maintaining a relationship with those officers, those chiefs, those chains of command, it will build a better law enforcement community overall for Pulaski County instead of hurting it and damaging it in the long run.
Next question from the audience is, at the end of your tenure as sheriff, if elected, what do you want your legacy to be? We'll start with Mr. Pappas.
Say that one more time.
If elected as sheriff, at the end of your tenure, what do you want your legacy to be?
That's a kind of a tough question, but my legacy would be, I would love to totally eliminate the overdose deaths in this county. From what we're ranging now, which is anywhere from 20 to 30 a year, and that's been consistent since I was appointed coroner all the way through today's date, to 0. That would be my legacy. And this, at least reduce addiction by 50%. So that would be a legacy, and probably the budget, there will always be woes, but I would love to say I left the sheriff's department in the green, not in the red.
Pappas, we'll ask Mr. Larson to give his answer to that question.
So at the end of my career, I would like to be able to have the citizens know who their sheriff was, know that they had a personal connection to that sheriff, know that every time they came in to talk to him, he was there or at least got back to them. And also that each of the deputies that worked underneath him, they had some sort of personal connection with them. You know, it's one thing for people to know that we're there, but I want everybody to know what kind of person that I was as sheriff, and know what my deputies, how my deputies were when I was sheriff, and to leave the department better than what I got. You know, expand on things, maybe have, work it out so we have more deputies on the road. Obviously, that's just kind of a catch-all. But I think most of it all is to know that I did my job the best that I could, and that the community felt as though I was fair and just and listened to everybody's voice. Thank you.
Next person would be Mr. Gibbs.
The bad part about going in the middle of their end is that all your good answers are already taken. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
But I would want to be known as the sheriff that did what he could for the community, worked for the community, and did everything he could within his power to make the community better, whether that be through educating the community, eliminating the drug problem, the overdose problem, just, something like that. Let the community know that I was their sheriff and that I did everything I could for them. And not only for them, but for the deputies to know that, I was the guy that always had their back if there was a problem. They could come to me and not have to worry about getting chewed out for skipping chain of command or anything like that. But just be the person that, the community wanted us to be, the person that the deputies wanted you to be, to work for, and a true leader in not only the eyes of the deputies, but as the sheriff, being a true leader for the community as well.
I'll ask the same question to you, Mr. Ball.
What Brian Gibbs said.
That is like a leader.
And everyone up here, I agree with everything, and I've said that before, and I've been asked this legacy question before. And the bottom line is you always any good leader wants to be that the place you're leading, which in this case the sheriff's office, better than when you came into it. Leaving this county better than when you found it. That says a lot. Walking around this county, talking to people, I want people to know who their sheriff is. I want you to know who Sheriff Ball is. So when somebody asks me, who's your sheriff in Pulaski County? I don't know. I want y'all to know who I am because you know that I'm approachable. I listen to you. I will talk with you, just like I've been doing this last year or so, all around the county talking to folks. So, but the bottom line I'd like to see it, most important to me is leaving that sheriff's department in this county better than when I received it.
I think that I would like for everyone to know and say, that was the best sheriff that we ever had. And mean it. I'd like for everyone to know that they could come and talk to me at any time, no matter when. And if I could, I would get to the bottom of what actually happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. All right, the next question from the audience is as follows. Gentlemen, how would your past experience help you if elected sheriff, and why does that experience make you the best candidate for sheriff for the citizens of Pulaski County? Give you the first opportunity on that, Mr. Reed.
I think training has a lot to do with it. I have extensive training in a lot of different things that the Highway Patrol gave to me. Hazmat training, terrorist training, and so much more. I would get my time waved at me if I tried to go through all of it.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Ask the same question to Mr. Pappas.
I think of my past with my military career, my leadership, and my boots on the ground. 27 years of actually doing the job, doing it day in, day out. I led officers, most importantly, working with very small budgets. I've learned you can do a whole lot with a very little, and you can do it very quickly. That doesn't mean I wouldn't want to grow our budget. It just means I know how to work within the confines and utilize the personnel and their strengths and weaknesses. Not only that, but I can definitely get out there and get my feet wet and dirty with the rest of the crew. Hands down, I'll back that. And I know some others here can say that as well. But that's the biggest point. I lead from the front. I'll stand behind that. I can still do it, and I do it day in and day out. All my training, my experience, being able to assess the officer quickly and recognize the training they need and get them into the training, boost their abilities, and let them lead from the front. And my time's up. I got the red flag.
Thank you, Mr. Pappas. That's the same question to Mr. Larson.
Actually, can you read that again? We'll make sure to get it all.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. All right, so the question is, how will your past experience help you if you were elected sheriff for our county, and why does that experience make you the best candidate to become our sheriff?
So as I said in my opening statement, I've worked in the Sheriff's Department for over 20 years. Dispatch, jail, working the road, being a supervisor in all of those positions and also training people in those positions. So my end goal was to do this. My end goal when I started in law enforcement, about my third or fourth year in law enforcement, I'd say, I decided I wanted to be sheriff. And the way that I've always heard other people talk, and just in different, businesses and anything else like that, is my boss has no idea what's going on. He doesn't know my job. I was not going to be that boss. I wanted to know every single piece of how that department works. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that if you go in and you have your phone on everybody, you micromanage. But I wanted to be able to, that if that dispatcher come in and ask me a question, I can answer. Or that road deputy. Or that jailer. And he's like red flag. Thank you.
Goes by quick.
Mr. Ball, you're the last man standing.
and 20 years of military service, being a leader for 17 of those years. Taking care of soldiers, training soldiers. That going to combat with soldiers. Everything that I did as a leader in the military was to train the best conduct I could, the best personnel that I could. Your sons and daughters, to take them and win and fight on the battlefield. That mentality still runs through. Leadership is imperative still, like handgun training and stuff like that. But leadership is the biggest factor in all this, because the leadership is going to change that sheriff's department. It's going to change that culture in that sheriff's department. It's going to make a change in that sheriff's department. It's going to get people and get our deputies, grow them leaders. That's the whole part of leadership, is growing your leaders. You don't want to have your deputies walking around not knowing what the corporal does, not knowing his supervisor. The corporal should be training those deputies to take their job when their time comes to become a corporal. And also the sergeant with corporals.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Let's give all these candidates a big round.
Hey, David.
Hey, do I get to answer?
You missed him.
Yes. We're going to give you the premier spot in this. Remember, there were a lot of good answers, but we have one better answer. Mr. Gibbs, it's all yours. Sorry about that, Mike.
We don't need you. We got Dave here. I don't need no red flag.
Keep that green. He gets green.
Basically everything these guys have said, but I can throw one more thing into there that they probably weren't even thinking about. Life. Toughest teacher with the toughest experiences we've ever had. Bringing in that life experience and being able to recognize when something's going on with your deputy, something's not right. Or somebody comes in to talk to you because they're so upset because the loss of a loved one, which we've all experienced. But using that experience as well as the training that you go through every year and that you expand on as not only a leader, but as a deputy, bring it all as an experience to the Sheriff's Department to make it better. Now you can red flag them
Now,
on stage.
give these guys a big round of applause.
No.
We're going to take about a 5-minute break, and then I'm going to need the state rep candidates to make their way to the stage after about 5 minutes or so.
So for those of you still standing by, Doug Fowler here from Pulaski Talks. We are broadcasting live on various formats and Facebook pages and YouTube. So they're starting back up with the state candidates for office here in a little bit. Thank you all for tuning in, and be patient, and we'll kick back off as soon as they tell me go. See you soon.
If everyone wants to make their way to their seats, 60 seconds.
All right, everybody. Before we get started, make sure you like and follow Pulaski Talks, Pulaski County, Missouri's premier live video podcast that we're doing, supporting the club here in Pulaski County, Missouri. And if you feel like being a sponsor to the show, check out our website, Pulaski-podcast.com, and you'll see it on the Pulaski Talks Facebook page as well. So hope everybody's having a great evening. You're going to pick up here soon. I got to ask a question from one of our viewers, America's First. What do you think about Iowa Hawkeye hats? Well, that's suitable. I think they're suitable in every state of the land. So if you haven't figured it out, I am a Iowa Hawkeye fan, and you'll see it on all of these videos. And if you haven't watched our shows before, go back on our Facebook page. We've interviewed all the sheriff's candidates except for a couple. But we're going to get started. Hold on.
This next session with our candidates for state representative. We've got 4 candidates on the stage running for state representative. We're glad to have each one of them here tonight. Again, similar format. We're going to give each one of our candidates the opportunity to address the audience and tell the audience why they want to become your next state representative. We've got 2 incumbents and 2 challengers. For the 121st Legislative District, we have incumbent Bill Hardwick. The challenger to Bill is Brandon Schwartz. Candidates for the 124th Legislative District with us this evening, incumbent Don Mayhew. And we've got
It's a fake
with us this evening, challenger Tara Hallmark. So we're going to begin with, again, the opening statement followed by the question and answers. So everybody give your attention to these folks, and we appreciate them coming out and telling us about their qualifications for this position, which is a very important position in our county. All right. We'll just start with Tara Hallmark.
Hi there, my name is Tara Hallmark. I am the wife of a military man. I have been out here in our area for 15 years. I was a woman that was the first one in my family to ever join the United States military. I got 15 years with FEMA. I've got time as a law enforcement. I've got time in South Carolina, Fort Hood, Provost Marshal's office. I am all about military tourism and absolutely communities. I love our homes so much. I hope to be the best representative because I want to lay a path for us to build a better Pulaski County, a more tourist-focused Eldon and Miller County. And I think it's time that we get that airport just like we did at Fort Hood. I look forward to helping our law enforcement. I look forward to helping definitely roads. Dina taught me a little bit about roads and Department of Transportation. And I also definitely want to make sure that everybody has a voice. I work with everybody. I'm so glad to have a home. God bless.
Thank you, Ms. Hallmark. Our next candidate for the 124th Legislative District, Don Mayhew.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. I've served in the legislature for the last 6 years. I'm going into my last term in the legislature. I'm a 7th generation Pulaski Countyan. My great-great-great-great-great-grandpa Wall came to this county before it was even a state. We're just as poor now as we were back then. And I'm born and raised here, went to high school up in Crocker, got my engineering degree at Missouri S&T, started my own business here in Pulaski County, which I've been running since 1996. And I've signed both sides of the paycheck for the last 34 years. And as a small business owner, I understand the challenges that face us here in the county, but also in business. I'm chair of Transportation Accountability. I'm also on Budget Committee up in the House of Representatives. And let me tell you, it gives you a new perspective on the way government wastes money when you're on Budget Committee. But that's just about all there is to tell. I've got 8 wonderful grandkids and 4 kids. Notice I didn't say wonderful. The kids are always a challenge, right? We learn how to be good grandparents by ruining our kids, right? So, but that's just about it about me. I'll be around later too if you've got some additional questions for me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayhew. Next candidate would be Brandon Schwartz.
Good evening. I have 3 main principles that guide any decision that I'd be making on the House floor in committee or a general vote. The first one is the value of labor. The American worker's productivity in the last 40 years has increased by 62%, and yet our real wages have only gone up by 16%. I want to make sure that Missourians are getting their fair share of the labor that they are working for. My second thing is evidence-based and fact-based results, and one thing that I'll be working for is to end our 53-year failure of a drug war. Nixon declared a war on drugs that we have lost, and we are sinking millions and billions into it a year. And we can do that a smarter way. We can help our people with drugs a smarter way. And the last thing is empathy. I think empathy is the most guiding principle. At any time, any person can be facing a loss of a family member, a loss of their ability to take care of themselves or their family, and we should be working to make sure that each individual has the ability to give what they are capable of, and when they aren't capable of giving, that we should take care of them.
Bill Hardwick. Good evening, I'm Bill Hardwick. I'm your state representative. This is my 4th year in office. I'm a champion for our community, that the Fort Leonard area grows and prospers and we succeed. I'm a defender of your freedom, your individual liberty, your constitutional rights. I fight for them every day. In Jefferson City, I don't work for the Speaker of the House. I don't work for the political consultants. I don't work for the lobbyists. I work for you, the people. And I think that my job is to go up there and to represent you and to serve you and to protect your values and people who just want to live their life without the government controlling it, without everybody who's making it harder to live your life and raise your family. And I appreciate your support running for election. Thank you.
Okay, and in this question and answer session, they may stand or sit, whatever they're comfortable with. Most folks in here know of the decision that was in 2022 as Dobbs' decision. It was Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. the United States Supreme Court in this case, which, as we know, if you follow the law, is a landmark case, but essentially, in which held the Constitution of the United States does not confer a right to abortion. Essentially, what the court's decision did is it overruled both Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey, returning to the individual states the power to regulate any aspect of abortion not protected by federal statutory law. So, with that being done in 22, this year, there's a current initiative petition in Missouri to put abortion rights in the Missouri Constitution. The question for the candidates this evening is, do you support that current initiative petition in the state of Missouri? Why or why not? Mr. Hardwick.
I'm against the initiative petition. We do not need abortion in the Missouri Constitution. Every single human life is valuable. Your rights and dignity as a human being come from God. And I agree with the Dobbs decision. There is no constitutional right to abortion. That, just like Donald Trump said, that belongs to the states. And so that initiative petition is abortion on demand, takes off restrictions from suing doctors that abortion be done in hospitals. And like Brandon said, I think we need to be compassionate and empathetic. I don't want to have a heart of conviction or sort of a heart that's not sympathetic toward women and families in those situations. But I believe life comes from God, and I'm pro-life, and I support pro-life legislation in the legislature, and I'm going to oppose the initiative petition to put abortion in the Missouri Constitution.
Thank you, Mr. Hardwick. Give that question to you, Mr. Schwartz.
Yes, I support that amendment, and I collected signatures for it. I have 3 children. My wife suffered from preeclampsia during 2 of those pregnancies. We were advised not to have any more children. Now, I took care of that situation for myself, but nothing's 100%. I do not and still cannot understand how small government says that we have to wait to find out if she is going to die this time if she gets pregnant. And it has to be happening under Missouri law right now. She has to be actively about to die, not, hey, this is a high-risk pregnancy, would you like to terminate? I have to wait, and she has to not get a decision until she is on the table. That's not small government. That's not personal choice, and it's not right to privacy. And we should all be worried that if you read the if you read the Dobbs decision, that the Justice Thomas in it actually thinks that there is no right to privacy, period. Not just a no right to an abortion. And that is a Federalist Society opinion, and the Federalist Society is a huge proponent of assisting Republicans. And I don't know if Bill is a member of the Federalist Society, but I know oftentimes conservative Republicans that are lawyers are. And I oppose removing your right to privacy. I think you as a family get to make that decision. You as a woman get to make that decision, not the government.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. We're going to give that question to Mr. Mayhew.
So this is probably going to be a little bit of ditto, but yes, I am against the initiative petition. I firmly believe life begins at conception. And so when we talk about choices, the only person who doesn't get a choice in this is the one who gets the death penalty. So I can't be for that. I don't see how anybody can. If only you look at our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, where every person is entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. God says that I knew you before you were in your mother's womb. That to me is pretty clear on the decisions that I have to make generally. With all due respect to the gentleman earlier who said you have to be on the table, that's not true. I voted for 126, House Bill 126, in that bill. And that's a decision between the doctor and the patient. But it's clear. It is not, you don't have to be in the act of dying in order to be able to get an abortion in Missouri. If the lady's life is at stake, then they can proceed with the abortion at any time the doctor.
The flag behind me doesn't have a gender, but I can talk about the right to vote on what kind of tools in your home I've been here for 15 years. I know who needs to have the tools to keep their camp private. If there's a problem at home regarding pedophilia, regarding any type of mental illness, any kind of medical health, then the household should have a chance to fix it with privacy, dignity, like all Americans deserve health care. I have looked at my taxes, and in 15 years, I paid an awful lot of taxes for the government now to tell me I don't have the same rights. I'm pretty sure that flag is not genderized. I'm pretty sure while I was in service and having to serve during that time and while I was pregnant, that my person counted. My time counted. I'm here, sisters, brothers, I'm not going to leave you to know everything that is going on in our area. We know who the families are. Let's make sure we can give some dignity and health care to keep our families safe, our daughters safe, our families' health. This is about control. I don't want my taxation representation not given a chance to have a vote. I am for IP. Thank you.
So, former President Donald Trump was convicted of multiple felony counts and is currently set to be sentenced in the near future. Do you think his recent convictions of those felony counts disqualify him from serving as President of the United States? And if so, what is your opinion of those criminal cases pending against former President Trump? Give you the first opportunity to answer that question, Ms. Hallmark.
I missed my Republican Party. Anybody's going to be better than him. Please return us back to the Republican Party of Papa Bush.
Mr. Mayhew?
So, we have 3 branches of government. And each one of them is supposed to have checks and balances over the other one. Unfortunately, sometimes we get into situations where one of them wants to be all 3. And unfortunately, that's what we've got here. Mr. Trump's constitutional rights were denied. It's pretty easy to see. On appeal, this thing will go away once we get to a different court. It was a hand-picked jury that was done for the express purpose of convicting him. That's a travesty of justice. We got to get back to justice in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Mayhew. Mr. Schwartz?
I do not think a felony conviction makes anybody ineligible to run for office or vote. And I would like to see the Missouri legislature remove that from our laws. I think that we over-felonize lots of things. And while I think President Trump has done many things that disqualify him from office, and there are a few things that he has done that deserve to land him in prison, I do not believe what he was convicted for in New York is anything that he should go to prison for. The majority of people that would have received a sentence in New York for crimes that he committed would be getting probation. I hope that's what he gets, and I hope he appeals it, and I hope the convictions stick because I believe he did commit those crimes, but I don't believe he belongs in prison for it. And I hope that you don't vote for him, but not because he's a convicted felon, but because he's a perpetual liar and because he is unqualified for the office.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Mr. Hardwick?
I'm voting for a convicted felon. Donald Trump should be back in the White House. If you think about what he's being prosecuted for, in some cases speaking out against the 2020 election, being a threat to the D.C. establishment, and then there are charges that are derived against people's political opponents, and how that should scare every single person in America who has a differing view, and they can be prosecuted for that. And if they can do that to Donald Trump, they can do it to every single person who speaks their mind and speaks out. So this is an election that we got to put a stop to that and say it's unacceptable. put Donald Trump back in the White House, get our country back on track, and reverse the tide of what's happened to our country the last 4 years. Vote for Donald Trump. That's what I'm going to do.
Thank you, Mr. Hardwick. In 2023, the Missouri legislature banned gender transitions of minor children. Do you support that law? Please explain to the audience why or why you do not support it. I'll ask you first, Mr. Schwartz.
I don't support that law. The Missouri legislature has a complete lack of understanding of science. The vast majority of us fit into a binary. We are either male or female. But just like most people are born with 2 arms and 2 legs, not everybody is born that way. And there are a numerous number of conditions that result in XY, just a Y chromosome. There are multiple different reasons why individuals can express a sexuality that doesn't match what we think they should match. It's unenforceable, and it's removing privacy rights from our students. What are they going to do? Are they going to start genitally examining our athletes? Are they going to, and a big question is, does this prevent children that this procedure's been done on when they're born? This is a common procedure that's been done where a doctor and parents decide what the sex is when somebody is born with ambiguous genitals. That is a common practice in the medical field where they decide, okay, well, we're not sure with these genitals and we're going to pick male or female. It's not a surprise that less than 1% of our population doesn't fit in the binary. That's how biology works. And so instead of working and focusing on making a minority that doesn't affect hardly anybody's lives absolutely miserable, our legislature should actually do something that matters for the majority.
Mr. Hardwick, let you answer that question.
Yes, I support the law that forbid gender transitioning of children and from male to female and female to male. I think that we have screwed up an entire generation of children because we haven't told them the truth. That if your child comes to you and your son says, I'm a girl, they're not, they're a boy. And that's not the truth. And we, for political reasons, political agenda, we've done these things to these children. And in the legislature, children who their parents tried to transition them came and spoke to us about how that had irrevocably harmed them and about their ability to maybe have children of their own was taken away from them. And I think that we have a duty to be compassionate toward all these families and children, and we have a duty to protect the children in our state. And that's wrong to tell children that they can transition from male to female. They can't. And you don't know what you're doing to those kids that are 4, 5, 6, 3 years old, 8 years old. Those children aren't old enough to make those decisions. They don't know what they're doing. And the parents and the medical professionals that are leading that decision, there should be a stop to that. And that's what I voted for the Missouri legislature, to put a stop to that. And right now there's a sunset on that law that it expires in 2026. And if I get back to Jefferson City, I'm going to vote to remove that sunset so the prohibition on transitioning children is permanent. And I just think that's the right thing to do for our children. And it's not a position of hate. It's not a position of not having compassion. It's a position of that's the truth. And we're doing harm to these children, and we have to put a stop to it.
Thank you, Mr. Hardwick. I ask you the same question, Ms. Hallmark.
I think it's important for us to look at some of the work and do a benefit cost analysis about how much time and how it affects the majority of the folks. If there is so much time in legislation on these hot topics about Americans that are living in America, paying their taxes, and families, how they're raising their children in their home, seemingly to me, making sure that whatever choices those American parents have for those American children, that they have good American medical available and accessible. But if there's going to be a whole bunch of legislation about a minority of folks, possibly helping them in ways that would make it more unified and not criticized. I think bullying doesn't need to be done legislatively. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hallmark. Mr. Mayhew.
Wow. I would have never thought we would ever get to a point in this state where we'd have to pass a law that says you can't mutilate your kids. I would have never thought that we would have had to pass a law that says that men can't play women's sports. Now,
on as far as this bill is concerned. It doesn't prevent or forbid or any of those things. It simply says you gotta wait till you're 18, when you can make that decision yourself. You gotta be 21 to drink beer in this state. You gotta be 18 to buy cigarettes, for God's sake. Can't we wait until that person is 18 so they can make that decision on their own? And that's what this was about, is no different than laws we pass to protect children from predators, from all of these other things, smoking cigarettes and alcohol and the whole shooting match. This is about protecting children. The number of parents who came and talked to me to talk about how they were coerced into transitioning their child, and then their child sitting there telling me that this was wrong decision. They didn't know what was going on, and they were coerced into doing it. Can't we just wait until they're 18? Then they can do whatever they want.
Next question. The rise of mass shootings in the United States has led many to recommend new gun control measures. Do you support gun control measures to address the rise of gun violence in the U.S.? And if so, what measures do you support? Go back to you, Mr. Mayhew.
So we got enough laws on the books right now. We need to enforce them. And so when the president's son doesn't even respect the law, the problem isn't with the number of laws that we have. The Second Amendment right is sacrosanct. It was put in there for a reason. First of all, 911 in Pulaski County is 30 minutes away if you're lucky. Maybe you can get a shorter period of time than that in the city, but out here, it's all over with in a minute. So the people need a way to protect themselves. And that's what the Second Amendment is for, is to protect you, to be able to protect your family and your property. Once again, more laws is not going to change anything. But what will make a difference is start focusing on what's causing this. I know 9-year-olds that play first-person shooter games until 2 o'clock in the morning, and their parents are proud of it. They are desensitizing these kids with these games. Now, you want to talk about that stuff, limiting that, that's where we will make a huge difference as far as these incidents are concerned.
I served in the military, and I was also law enforcement and law enforcement support. I'm very glad to hear you were a 911 operator. You hear a lot, and since I've been around a lot of military installations my entire life, having that kind of training on how to respect the law and not step on somebody's rights is important. I don't think I would be happy to hear my neighbor decided to get upset and shoot because law enforcement was not close enough. Maybe legislation could possibly help that response time vis-a-vis 911. I don't think we should let folks just carry guns out there in church. I think we should have a little bit of respect. I'm from Texas. I have no problem with guns. I am a terrible shot, and I like to hunt. But when you're starting to talk about taking law into your own hands and happy about it, I'm going to have to say we're going to have to hold off here. There's a level of responsibility, and if that starts with maybe insurance, homeowners insurance, whatever it needs to take to assure that our rights are protected without having somebody else shoot at us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hallmark. Mr. Hart?
I am against any new gun control measures that the legislature can propose or any new gun control measures from the federal government. In the last couple of years in the legislature, we saw proposals to implement red flag laws, and Don and I fought against those, to implement requirements on registering ammunition and firearms, and we fought against those. Those were actual proposals. There was one version of language that would have made it a felony to take your teenager hunting on public land if they went hunting, and we fought against that. Those are actual proposals that we fought in the legislature. It's not the firearms that's causing the violence. It's a degradation of human heart. It's a breakdown of parents. It's a breakdown of society. It's human beings and their lack of respect of life for one another and consequences that's causing violence. That's the issue that we got to address. But you don't make the world more safe by disarming me. You don't make the world more safe by taking your guns away from you. You make the world more dangerous if you disarm law-abiding people, people who want to protect their family. And so I fight against every single gun control measure in the legislature. I'll continue to do that if you send me back to Jefferson City.
Mr. Schwartz.
After every mass shooting, we hear Republicans say thoughts and prayers, and they do nothing. I am not for further gun control. What I am for is that the other thing they say is, oh, it's mental health issues. Well, great. Let's get some access to mental health issues. Let's get healthcare providers. Let's have a hospital or a doctor's office that somebody can get to in this county. If you have an emergency in this county, you're going 32 minutes to Lebanon, or you're going 35 minutes to Rolla, and that's if you live in Waynesville, St. Robert, not if you live out in the middle of, as far out as our county goes. I've got multiple guns locked up at home. My kids don't have access to them. I believe in responsible gun ownership. I would like to actually see guns given back to people that are charged with ridiculous felonies. You can lose your right to a gun for writing a bad check in this state. It's completely asinine. So no, I don't believe guns are the problem. I believe despair and a lack of access to mental health care are the problems. But I also don't think it's video games. And there's scientific evidence that show it's not video games that are the problem. So we can keep preaching the same thing we've been saying since the 80s. It's the video games, it's the movies, or we can look at the facts and we can look at the evidence. Our healthcare system has fallen apart. Our mental health care system is a joke. And that is how we stop gun shooting. Not gun control, but actually getting people the help that they need.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. The next question. What do you believe currently is the #1 problem in the state of Missouri? And if elected as state representative in the 121st or 124th legislative districts, what would you do to address that problem? We'll start with you, Mr. Hardwick.
I think there are a couple of problems. One is the budget crisis that our state's about to face, where we're spending, and we're not growing as a state. That's going to be a problem. We've got to have a balanced budget in Missouri. I think another problem is all the farmland that China's buying and all the ways that China is funding and getting involved in Missouri corporations. We have to stand up for that. I know people want to make a buck, they want to make some money, but they're selling out our country to China, and that's going to come back to bite us in the long run. That's a big problem. And another problem is I think we have a lot of elected officials and politicians who are too weak to stand up against the status quo. They're too weak to stand up against what's threatening our state. They're too weak to stand up against what's threatening your freedom, and they need to stand up to their feet, and they need to fight back. And they need to take back your freedom and state, and they need to serve you and not those interests. And I think those are the biggest problems I can think of that our state's facing.
Same question to you, Mr. Schwartz.
Housing and the economy. We need to build more houses in Missouri. People aren't going to come to Missouri, and our economy and our state is not going to grow if people can't build here. And we got to give them a reason to build. We need to make sure that when we create jobs, those jobs are actually jobs that people get paid for, not corporations, CEOs that are just coming in. And when a Walmart gets built and somebody gets a minimum wage job, that shouldn't be looked at as a win. We need to revitalize actual work, actual manufacturing. And I realize that, there's automation, and that is going to be difficult to fight. It's not just the jobs are going to China or the jobs are going to Mexico. We're fighting technology too. But when people work, they should be able to afford a house, and they should be able to afford to feed their family. And we as Missourians deserve that. And the legislature needs to work on doing that. In order to do that, we need to increase the ability to build houses. We need to work on decreasing the cost to build houses. We need to work on making sure that CEOs aren't making the vast majority of the money. We need to make sure the workers and the people that are actually out there doing work are who get the money. And that will bring people to this state. Because right now we're in a race to the bottom. We are just hoping corporations will give us the scraps off their table. But that's not what we have to be. We do not have to race to the bottom hoping that these multinational corporations will just give us their scraps. Because we're the ones that are actually creating everything.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Give that question to you, Mr. Mayhew.
Wow. I thought I'd get up here and wouldn't be able to agree with anything that the competition said, but I'm going to have to agree with something that Mr. Schwartz said. He's absolutely correct. Mental health. Huge problem for the state of Missouri, but maybe not the way he thinks about it. Drugs are the bane of not only our society, but of our budget. We spend enormous amounts of money on mental health in the state of Missouri. We increased it this year another $50 million. We're pouring money down a rat hole. When I served on the Justice Task Force Committee, the Justice Center Task Force Committee, we went around and talked to jailers all over the state, and I asked every single one of them the same thing. And that question was, well, why are these people in jail? And the jail was full. The guy down in Taney County had the best answer I've ever heard. He said, well, that guy's in here for grand theft. That guy's in here for stealing catalytic converters. But what he's really in here for is drugs. He said, you solved the drug problem, and I have 80% of the people in here are out of here. That's a workforce development problem. That's a law enforcement problem. You name the problem, it goes right back to that. What's a three-legged stool, folks? We got to have enforcement. We got to close the border, for God's sake. We got to have education, but we also have to have treatment. He's right about that. Treatment is absolutely necessary to put these people back to work. And the only way we're going to do that is if we actually do something about the drug problem. Thank you very much.
Are these questions also from the audience, or are these pre? Oh, okay, I wasn't sure. It's going to have to be China. I'm kind of curious why we have so much legislation that came out in March of 2024 and January 2024, making sure that there was going to be a lot of roadblocks for these huge Chinese corporations that are in our state, that are driving on our roads, that sit outside of our capital, that don't pay their portion of the taxation at all. And I don't know, put more balloons out there. My entire time is going to deal with bringing Pulaski military and Miller County tourism, and to put a real level of safety and making sure bills are not going to be loopholed to clog up the courts when they start going after the corporations and counting exactly how much land they have in between the time that they have become a small spin-off corporation. House Bill 735, I think it was, that y'all put out there. That's what I plan to do.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hallmark. Last question of the evening is, and this is a 60-second question. In 60 seconds, tell our audience why you're the best qualified candidate for your legislative race. I'll start with you, Ms. Hallmark.
I have been going across the nation, helping everybody, hugging everybody, rebuild for the last 15 years with mitigation division out of FEMA. I'm the wife of a military man my entire adult life. I'm nothing special. I'm a common woman. I've got blisters on my hands. And if I don't understand where my taxes are going, if I don't understand how I can't keep my house clean and safe and with a level of respectability without the government inside my children's bodies, and taking care of my elderly and showing them the respect, I can do that because I've seen it done in other states, that I've been looking very close to waiting to come home. I'm home, and I'm going to make sure home is as safe as possible I'm going to make sure legislation is able to fund the correct way and give law enforcement what they need. Giving our commissioners money to give the roads a chance. We're looking around. We've been here. I know whose homes I'm talking about. You know those people. When you see me in the store, that's because I'm buying for her. I've done it. Sorry, I love our home. Vote for Tara Hallmark.
Thank you, Ms. Hallmark. Mr. Mayhew?
I never intended to get into politics in the first place. That was never something that I envisioned for myself as I went along. But every time I would see a problem, just because I'm an engineer, I want to fix it. And every time I get to one level, I'd see the problem was up above that. And then get to that job, and the problem's really up above that. And so sooner or later, you got to stop somewhere, right? I'll never be president of the United States. But the reality is that after serving for 6 years as your state representative, you will notice something about the legislation I file. It's legislation that helps everyone, helps regular Missourians, not lobbyists, not corporations. It helps people. Now, that always faces a bit of a challenge when it comes to trying to get it through the Senate. Just as an example, I have a catalytic converter bill that last year got 153 votes in the House of Representatives. There's only 163 members of the House of Representatives, and 8 of them were gone that day. So that's bipartisan legislation that works for everybody. And that's the job I've been doing up there, and that's the job I would like to continue to do, is make sure that the people of the state of Missouri are taken care of. Thank you.
I keep hearing people say, "Make America Great Again," and I don't know what time they're talking about, but I think it's the 50s, the 60s, when somebody could go work one job, another parent could stay home, you could feed your family, you could put a roof over your head, and put a little away for retirement and vacation. We aren't going to solve those problems by blaming immigrants. We're not going to solve the problem that we don't do that anymore by blaming immigrants. Our neighbors, whether they're trans or gay or they're from a different country, aren't the reason we aren't able to afford the basic necessities we need. It is the fact that corporations have just bought everything and refuse to give anyone that actually does work money in this country. And I plan on working against that. And I think that's the number one reason. The number two reason you should vote for me is because I'm going to try new ideas. I'm not going to keep thinking prisons and more law enforcement is going to solve our drug problem. We've tried it for 53 years. It's not going to fix it. New evidence-backed based programs will fix it.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Mr. Hardwick.
Thank you for the chance to serve you the last 4 years. When I ran for office, I said, here's the things I'm going to champion. Here's the values I'm going to fight for. Here's the promises about how I'm going to decide to vote. And if you look at my voting record and what I've done in office, I am the person, and I stood for the things I said I would when I ran when I was a candidate. And I'm going to continue to do that. And my heart is not just for one group of people. It's not for one group of people in Pulaski County. It's for everybody. I want everybody to be free and live in a free country. I want everybody to have a good future. I want everybody to be able to raise their family and have the best life they possibly can. So my heart is to serve the people, not for the special interests, not for corporations or for big government, just for everyday people. That's who I'm serving, that's who I'm working for. I just hope you give me a chance to keep doing that. Thank you.
Sydney State Representative James Big, Florida. Before we finish tonight, again, a few announcements for the good of the group. Again, keeping in mind that the Republican Club meets the second Tuesday of every month at 6:30 p.m. at the Republican headquarters, as mentioned previously, which is 2 doors down from Westside Cafe in West Waynesville. Plenty of candidate signs there, as well as other merchandise. If you would like to come and participate, volunteers are always needed. We appreciate your help. Additional dates of interest, August 6th, primary election. There'll be an election watch party at Republican headquarters. General election, November 5th.
We're going to go ahead and shut it down for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Just a closing admin. notes. You can download the show on YouTube, and you can watch it at your convenience at a later date. If you have any questions, reach out to us on Facebook. I hope we see you soon. Please like and follow Pulaski Talks on both YouTube and Facebook. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And thanks for everybody hosting the show. Choose